Welcome back to the lunch table, food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz. Make sure you hit that subscribe button just right down there. We're on all streaming platforms, including Track Life Radio, man. My next guest, probably one of the illest MCs that we've had on the lunch table so far. He just signed to Strange Music. He is from Maryland. He goes by the name of MAEZ301. What's poppin', bro?
What's going on with you, bro? Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. And are we going by MAEZ or MAEZ301 or 301? Like, what you want to go by,
Whatever
man?
you like the most, you choose.
We'll go by MAEZ, bro.
It's like Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy,
Just
whatever
like a
works.
plethora of names.
You know, the more names, the merrier, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I was actually like going into this like I'm not sure if it's MAEZ, if it's MAEZ, because people just be
MAEZ
like,
is cool. I've never heard that.
You've never heard MAEZ?
Never.
Man, it's the MAEZ. The EZ kind of just adds that little flair to it.
There we go.
Is that your real name or like
No.
how'd you come up with the name?
My real name is Hassan.
Okay.
I thought maze was cool because I look at life as a maze, and I also look at myself as an artist as a maze, and you can see that when you hear what I already have out, and then the music that I just previewed for you before you went live. It's a journey, and once you feel like you have me figured out as an artist, you see you've taken a wrong turn.
Oh yeah, that's why. I was just talking to your producer, right? I was actually introduced to you by Simone. Shout out Simone Taylor. She put
Shout
me
out
on
Simone.
with Get 'Em,
Okay.
and I was like, yo, like this guy can actually spit some bars and like rip this shit. So once your EP came out, I was like. I listened to No Rest and I was like, oh, okay, this is completely different from the rest. Like, you're still ripping it, but it was kind of cool to see a balance between you're able to rip like such dark beats and then go on something a little bit more like melodic and like cheery, I
Yeah.
guess you could say. So, basically your style is definitely a maze. It's kind of like I can't really figure out like what you can or cannot be on.
Right. That's what this first project is all about. And I'm preparing to release the AEP in June, and that will be another journey, maybe a little bit more pop influenced, or maybe a little bit more of this generation's style of hip hop. You know, maybe just making some more fun records, or so I'll keep it as a surprise. Maybe we'll go a pop route or a rock route or R&B route, but that's definitely what it's about. Is
Well, honestly, that's what the EPs are for, man, just for experimental shit. The album is literally just like, okay, this is definitely what I'm talking about right now. But the EPs are kind of like, yeah, I could be on this vibe. I could be on the melodies. I could be on some, like, church stuff. I could be on, like, today's hip-hop. Like, it's all experimental.
Yeah, that's the fun thing about the way that I'm releasing music, is that actually all of this is going to be on the album, which is slated to release at the end of the year. Each EP is just a small dosage of it, so that we don't give you too much to consume and you're overwhelmed. You have just enough to digest it, figure out what you like. Then we come with that next EP, and you sift through that, and you begin to build your own maze playlist. And then by the time the album comes out, if the EPs have excited you enough, you go and you get the album, and there'll just be, a few songs on there that you haven't heard yet, that if the EPs, again, have excited you enough, will make it worthwhile for you to go buy the album.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, since the album's going to have, I guess, a combination of songs that were on the EPs in terms of, like, the vibes of it, like, I think you'll be able to capture every single audience member that you've acquired over the past year.
Right. That's the goal, too. The goal is to acquire as many of them as possible through tapping into all of these different sounds. So when it's time to pull together a show, we amass the largest audience possible.
Now, who thought of that marketing tactic? Was it you, or did you have some homies helping you out with that? That's kind of a brilliant and like different idea than what I've heard.
Honestly, as an artist, I've never been able to do anything but create in so many different aspects. I've never tried to put myself in a box. I just expand through my life experiences, and so it lends to my work. I'm always trying to become a specific type of person, and you can't box that person in. And so as an artist, that's only an extension of the type of person I'm trying to become. So it's hard for me to not one day be making this type of music and then one day be making that type of music. So it was kind of us just catering to my creativity, my ability to create in such a different hemisphere.
So who inspires you to create?
I mean, life inspires me. Women inspire me a whole lot. Just experiences, expansion, just God, like just all of these opportunities that I'm seeing. Um, I mean, when I'm creating, I don't even really think it's me. Um, I feel like it's God creating through me because sometimes I can't really
Let me shake
explain.
your hand, bro. I fuck with that.
Yeah,
I fuck with that.
I really
I wear
do.
this every day, man.
My guy, my guy. So you know where I'm coming from a little bit. I just feel like this is my purpose, being an artist, or at least art lends to what is my greater purpose because it's greater than music. And so the music for me is the part where I can close my eyes and just let him work because my work is to be done outside of the music. And so I just, because sometimes I can't even explain how I'm doing it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't formally taught. I didn't grow up with like my mom, she rapped, but she was tone deaf. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how I
Wow.
found this ability to create melodies and stuff like that. So I know that it was my purpose. So
Yeah.
that's my major inspiration is understanding that I have a gift that I can't even explain, and so I should probably take advantage of it.
You know, you're probably I want to say maybe the third person I've had in here who said that they work through a higher power. One example who I've had on in particular, Miles Parrish. And I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but his last name is Parrish.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I'm like, yo, like, like, what's really going on here? But it's the idea that whenever he makes his music, sometimes something kind of just like takes over him. And, as you said, it's kind of unexplainable.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're working through a power like that, it's unbeatable.
You can't lose.
You can't lose.
You can't lose, especially when you credit the power. It's like I don't deserve none of the glory, man. I think about how all of the pieces are coming together in terms of the opportunities that I'm seeing, and I'm like, I only get this much credit, man. I only get this much credit. Like honestly, like it's very divine the forces that work. Like when I think about who my producer is and all that he's done in his career, and the opportunity now that I have to work so closely with him, where it's like it's just me and him. And then I think about my manager and all that he's done to bridge the gap between me and opportunity as an artist. And I'm like, my only job is to focus on being a good person and a good artist.
Ooh.
Like everything else has just continued to work itself out as I've focused on that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes this journey, I think, a lot easier for me than I think most people imagine, because they imagine that this will come with its stresses. But I've been finding ways to alleviate my stress by just trusting my process completely, like through the good and the bad.
Well, I really want to like understand your journey and your process throughout this whole thing. So, like, growing up in the 301, what was that like for you, man?
It was. I'm glad that that's where I was raised. It was very diverse. I got the opportunity to be friends with so many different types of people, which I really think allows me to thrive in this industry now. I was friends with the straight A students. I was friends with the athletes and the jocks. I was friends with the street kids. I was able to move in every environment. And so now I'm here and I'm around the O3 Greedos and I'm around the Tech 9s or the Travis Barkers. And I don't feel out of place. I don't feel like I'm posing. I mean, because most importantly, I've always maintained, I've always tried to be myself. So I get around all of these people and I don't really feel out of my comfort zone, but I got an opportunity to experience so many different people growing up. And I think that was the greatest thing about being from Maryland, was there were so many Spanish people, so many Asian people, so many white people, so many black people. Everybody was there, so.
Yeah, I mean, being around those different types of people throughout your young life, it's a lot easier for you to maneuver through like that realm in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
For me, growing up in San Francisco, I was around like a whole bunch of Filipinos, like nothing but like Filipinos and black people.
Mm-hmm.
So moving over here in LA, when there's like a lot of like Latinos, I had culture shock. And I was like, yo, I didn't realize the world, like California alone was just that much more different if you cut it in half. But seeing as how you were able to link up with the jocks, the straight A students, and like basically everybody on campus, it translates a lot easier for you to hang out with the O3 Greedos and the Tech 9s. Like I could see how it translates a lot easier, man.
When I get around maybe people that are in the acting world and they're not in the music world, I find a way to, it's easy when you just be yourself, but I think the opportunity to be exposed to different people and how that can eradicate these maybe stereotypes that you may have is nice at a young age, because you're ignorant. You're ignorant, You only
Wow.
know what you learn from the TV or what somebody older than you is telling you. And when you're young, you don't really question that too much.
Yeah.
If you do, you're a special type of kid. Um, and so I think that's what's the most important thing, or at least one of the things I'm most grateful for.
Well, yeah, that's a really cool thing that you mentioned. The fact that you, because you're also hanging around with all these people, it just seems like stereotypes aren't even a thing in your head. Like realistically,
Mm-hmm.
like they don't exist in your world because you've experienced something with. It seems like every single race, every
Mm-hmm.
single type of human being so
Exactly.
far.
Exactly. And that's all it comes down to is we're all human beings. Like,
Hmm.
we're all from one planet. We all bleed red. Like, so we look different. We're supposed to look different. We're supposed to look
Yeah.
different. If we all look the same, it would just.
So then, what do you think? I mean, what do you think really prevents us from wanting to learn more about other cultures, like even within our city? Is it
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we as human beings don't are like scared to know more, or because of what's being pushed out to us is more, it brings more fear to us?
That, I mean, you said it. Fear. Fear. That's the key word. And I think most of all situations in life where we feel like we're held back as a people or as persons is fear. We're not going to spend the time really trying to figure out what's different about somebody. If we're afraid of them, we're just going to avoid it. And if a message is being perpetuated that this is somebody that you need to be afraid of, you're gonna run away from it,
Hmm.
right? Like as soon as you see it, you're not gonna really spend too much time trying to figure it out. But when you're in an environment where you can't run away from it, like your school or your neighborhood, and you're constantly being exposed to these people, you start to realize, hey, that guy's a lot like me. I, some of my best friends have told me, it's like, man, I didn't know, like, it's dumb. They're like, oh, I didn't know black people were so cool, and I'm just like, we're just like, what? I'm just like I didn't know fucking. It's funny, but it's just like, yeah, like we're all just regular people. It's just you
Yeah.
may meet somebody who maybe isn't the greatest person, but that's not everybody.
Yeah.
It's one person.
Yeah, and just to say that one, let's say you run into one black person who just probably had a bad day.
Yeah, a bad day.
You know what I mean?
Don't chalk it up to all of us. That's hopeless.
Yeah,
It's hopeless.
completely
And then what
hopeless.
does it say about you and who you really are?
Yeah.
If that's how you feel about everybody. So I'm
Hey, amen to that, man.
amen to that.
Amen to that. Um, when I'm listening to your music, it sounds like you reference God and Jesus and prayer a lot. So did you grow up in like a church background?
Um, I grew up. I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
I actually don't go to Catholic church anymore.
Hey, I was raised Catholic too, bro. I don't do this. We're on the same boat, man.
Yeah, it's not really my thing, but I what I appreciate about my experience is I acquire information from multiple religions. Now I'll look at like the Quran or Buddhism or fucking what is it called? It's like I can't remember the name of it, but there are these different things about all of these different
Religions.
or religions, organizations. That for me, it's just a processing of information because it's all personal to me. My spiritual journey, my experience. So I take what works for me and what contributes to my experience being a positive experience and me being whatever type of person I want to be. And then I process that, and the rest of it, I just let it go. I don't judge you. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's just what type of person are you?
What made you want to dabble into Buddhism?
Um, well, I meditate a little bit. I like to find different ways to understand my mind and my body and just kind of tap into a higher energy. And so, I mean, I'll just look into different things and see if something about that practice can contribute to me tapping into something greater. So I'll dibble and dabble. I won't tell you like I understand
Mm-hmm.
the intricacies of Buddhism because I don't. But there are little things here and there that I like to hold on to that work for me.
Which are what, man?
Just I mean, I feel like it's the foundation of all religious practice, which is forgiveness and patience and compassion and love, and just understanding them through these different practices and why they're important and why they're powerful. I feel like when I tap into those powers, I feel the most alive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I feel like you preach a whole bunch about self love.
Mm-hmm.
especially because I think it's one thing when a rapper talks about the money they have and then the amount of shit that they can buy with it. But when I was listening to your project, I felt like you were coming from a place of like, well, I never had this, therefore I am going to do this. And in a sense, it's like it's basically taking care of yourself at this point now that I'm assuming you're a little bit more like self-sufficient now.
Oh, I mean, I like to think so. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Shit, you were over here talking about you can't decide which whip you want to buy, bro.
Look, I mean, you got to speak it into existence. It's power. It's the law of attraction.
Law of attraction, man. So then you're growing up in Maryland with a little bit of a religious background. You're growing up with like a whole bunch of people. When did rapping come into play?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's African American culture for every black kid to want to be a rapper or a basketball player. I wanted to be both, and luckily for me, I became one of them.
Well, I mean, you got the height for the other one.
I thought I had it, you know. I thought
You're like what, 6'3"?
6'2".
6'2". Okay.
I'll take 6'3" though. 6'4" if you
and with the hair, it gets a little, you know, a couple inches taller.
But yeah, I had always dibbled and dabbled in it. Everybody was writing music, and then by the time I was 16, because the basketball team, we'd freestyle practice and stuff. After practice, we'd go to my boy's house and record. And the first time I heard myself on record, I fell in love. I've always been an artist. I've drawn my whole life. I've like wrote little stories and poems, and so I was always looking for a new creative outlet. And when I heard my voice on a record, I actually hated it. But I loved it at the same time. I think everybody hates. I'm sure your first podcast, you're like, is that me?
Dude, I remember when I was like making my first songs when I was 14. I was like, I listened to it back. I'm like, I don't sound like that. That's weird. Like, it must be the room I'm in right now. But then it's the consensus, like, yo, I just sound like that.
Yeah, we're trying to sound like everybody but us in the beginning, right? So it's just like, fuck.
Were you guys recording like in a closet? Where
you know, it's like a mattress like on the side
shit,
of it. It's like got pee stains.
You got the egg cartons everywhere. Like, we gotta make sure this reverb doesn't actually affect the sound.
You know the grind. You know the grind. Got the pillowcases and all that good stuff. But by the time I was 16, I knew for sure that it was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I fell in love with the process of having an idea in my mind and then seeing it become something tangible, seeing it manifest. That was fun for me. And so I just kept trying to get better at it. I felt like I was naturally more gifted than most of the people that were doing it in my neighborhood. And there was nothing against them, but I was like, I would listen to them and I'd be like, I could do that too. And then a couple of people heard what I was doing. They were like, wow, yeah, I think you can. And it was more fun than going to my regular job. You know,
where were you working at that time?
I worked a lot of jobs. When I was 16, I was working at McDonald's. People were throwing fucking nuggets over the counter. I mean, it was an experience for sure. I love that I've worked every possible job because when I get to where I'm going to get, I have a different relationship with the people that I experience in the workforce. It's like I have a respect for them.
Well, yeah, you get a better understanding of what their living situation may or may not be.
What they're going through.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've never worked in restaurants, but I have, like, a whole bunch of friends who work at restaurants. And, you know, I was usually the stingy motherfucker to be like, yeah, you know, we'll just leave $1 or $2, whatever. That's the tip, right? But then once you understand, like, the situations that actually go on within the restaurant business, it's kind of like, okay, well, now that I have the understanding, yeah, I could see why you earn like a little bit more like through me because you're working a little bit more harder.
And you only get like $2 an hour.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
Because everything is based on those tips. So
yeah, but it seems like you've been through like a very humbling experience, like working at McDonald's, working at like a whole bunch of other jobs. It actually just sounds like the way you were maneuvering through a lot of people, like you kind of knew a lot of people, understanding all those, you know, all these different cultures, and then you going through all these different jobs, you understand these different cultures as well. Like for instance, I worked at a women's shoe store for about 2-3 years,
you ain't
bro.
Slick. You
Bro.
ain't slick. I'm on to you.
But I was over here working at a women's shoe store. Granted, everybody who purchased the shoes are maybe like 40 plus.
Okay.
But it's like I got a better understanding of, I guess, what a woman goes through just to like get a fucking pair of shoes. And I'm over here like, why are you tripping? But then at the same time, it's like, you know, like this shit like really means something to them.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
Definitely. I mean, I don't really know how to speak on the relationship women have to things, but I know for me how important or powerful it's been for me to detach myself from things. It's helping me to persist on this personal journey to be the best version of myself. Where it's like I just radiate at a different level now. A lot of my insecurities have left me because
Mm.
at this point, what's important to me and what is becoming more and more important to me is the way that I feel. And I can't, my feelings fluctuate when I begin accounting for what other people may think about me.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this point, it just, for me to be the best artist that I can be, I have to let all of that shit go out the window.
Well, yeah, at that point, I feel like once you let other people control how your mind is working, like you literally forfeit that power that was,
Oh my
you
goodness.
forfeit the power that was going through you from a higher power
Oh
to
my
somebody
goodness. It's
else.
the only true power that you have.
Yeah.
Everything happening outside of you, for me, in my opinion, just to move around the way that I move around, I'm like, it's ones and zeros. Ones and zeros. The only things that are real are the people that love you and the people you love back. The rest of it is a processing of information, but you cannot control any of it. You can only control one thing: who you say you're going to be and why. That's it. That's it. Money, all of that stuff
Amen.
it's just like it's not real.
That's all the extra shit.
It's there to distract you from the one power that you have. I'm telling you. And once you tap
Oof.
into that power, all of this shit just starts working for you. It just starts working for you in a sense. Like there are still complexities about it, and patience is the key. But the only thing you can control is the person you say you want to be. And then the universe, like the way that it works, the way that I'm recognizing that it's set up, it's like, okay, go be it. This is how you got to be it. You might not even recognize it in the moment because you may be facing some adversities that you don't want to face.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all tailored to you become that person. So clarity is key.
Yeah.
And once you recognize that, then it's like the whole thing just turns into a dream. And that's what it's supposed to be.
Well, one thing that I've been practicing in 2019 and a little bit of last year too is actually speaking things into existence. And so, for instance, every time I wake up, one driving phrase that will get my ass out of bed is move with purpose. And I always repeat to myself, move with purpose, move with purpose. Don't wake up. Stop looking at your fucking phone. If you need to take a shit, go and take a shit. Just move with purpose and get your fucking day
Shit with
started. You know what I
purpose.
mean? Shit with purpose. And on top of that, too, like I'm the type of person who always needed to write. I need to write stuff down in order to remember things and make sure that I'm on top of it. So I guess my question next to you is like, do you have like any like small practices like that you do in order to get your day going and keep on like moving with purpose per se?
I wouldn't necessarily say I have, I guess, like a routine. For me, I kind of just, I don't want to say go with, well, I kind of go with the flow.
Okay.
I kind of just have like this relationship with my experiences where there's like shit that I'm contributing to and then other shit that's just happening. But I just try to remind myself that the way you wake up and you say move with purpose, I just tell myself respond with purpose. Like it's difficult. I'm young. I'm more and more trying to become this person, but it's just about being conscious of my energy. I try to be aware of that. Like, all right, like who are the types of people that I'm cultivating relationships with, and what do they contribute to the type of person that I want to be. What do they contribute to the way that I think, and even with females now, like I've had this journey with them where at one point I needed validation from a pretty girl. Now it's just like, how are we making each other better? That's all I try to think of at this point is what am I doing to make myself better? And since I'm that used to be something I had to remind myself of, but now that the seeds are planted, that's something that I'm thinking about all day. And so for me, that's my move with purpose reminder. It's just, okay, how am I responding? What type of energy am I trying to maintain consistently? And what am I trying to share with other people?
Yeah. I mean, just to even answer that, I feel like your energy is just very like calm and collective. And I feel like the way you move about things is, I mean, again, calm and collective. So it's kind of crazy when I hear you spaz out on a record and you're so calm. I'm like, like it's kind of like you have like a little you have like this little bit of energy just like tucked away.
It's
just
reserved.
Like,
Just
yeah, it's
for,
reserved.
That's the yin and yang, and I love that. That's the yin and yang of MAEZ or of Hassan as a person. Is when I'm moving through the world, I'm like I'm just on like 1 or 2, but when I get on stage, I'm on 10. I mean, these guys know when I'm doing shows, I'm all over the place. I'm spazzing, and I find that interesting. Cause I feel like if the way I was on stage, I was in the real world, I would be exhausted. I'd be
Yeah.
exhausted. You know how I get on. So it's like this is I've somehow been able to find a balance. I don't really know how, but I've been able to tap into a balance, and now I just try to maintain it.
Have you ever watched? Are you an anime fan?
Oh yeah, my little locks are anime inspired. My whole do, like, it's like a young Gohan.
See, and I was just saying, I was highly disappointed when I ran into him outside because I was hoping he had like the little locks in the front. Because I'm like, bro, that's his look.
No, I had to tuck them away. I washed my hair, so it's like it
Okay.
shrank. So it's like I'm just letting it be right now. The shrinkage is messing with me.
I feel you, man. But like, I feel like you being on stage is kind of similar to how Naruto is. If you watch
love
Naruto, you know what
Naruto.
I mean? Like, he kind of just has that nine-tailed fox just like tucked
That's
away
what it
whenever
is.
he needs
That's
it.
what it is. That's a good way to look at it. Definitely. It's like me going Super Saiyan.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not until Majin Buu shows up and he's about to fuck up the rest of the world. That's when I'm gonna try. That's when I'm gonna just like take this reserved energy and just kill the shit.
I like that. That's a good way to look at it. Definitely.
Speaking of your concerts, man, you actually just performed at you just opened up at Tech9 show over here in Los Angeles. How was that for you, man?
That was a lot of fun. That was the first show that I've done where it was like there were actually people in the crowd that knew who I was, knew some of the music, and so when I performed, I could see some people mouthing it back to me, which is a dream come true. I'm really looking forward to the experience of being on stage and everybody being there for me, and just because the way that I move on stage, I need the crowd moving like that too. 'Cause that transfer of energy, it's a two-way street. So I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
I need you to give it back. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I mean, it was awesome. It was. I mean, it's so humbling to see these things in my mind.
Yeah.
And then to step into them. And the way that it makes me think now about, because it's like, I had a lady, she commented on one of my pictures on Instagram, and I love this. She said this. It really made me think. She said, so are those dreams, is reality becoming less of a dream? Or maybe she said, are those dreams becoming more of a reality? But to me, it was this idea, okay, I dreamt all of this. Now I'm kind of walking in it. So what's scary is it will become mundane if you stop dreaming.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It'll lose the spark because the dreams brought you here. So it's like, all right, well, that's kind of happening now. So now what? Now what? Or you just kind of get lost in the moment, and then it loses that spark. And so it's like, all right, now I got to dream a little more.
Yeah.
Dream a little crazier. Because now I got some other shit I need to walk into. And for me to have walked into basically exactly what I've dreamt, I'm like, I got to.
Wow.
I don't even care how crazy I sound to people anymore.
You know, you kind of just triggered something in my head right now because kind of like when we all start out, right? We all think of the most outrageous shit, thinking that it'll never, you know, maybe it'll come into fruition and maybe it won't. And then by the time that dream comes to some sort of reality, I think it gets to a point in all our heads in which like we stop dreaming, we stop thinking about even crazier things that come into fruition.
Yep.
And you know, now that you bring it up, that might just be a killer as to why some people's careers just come to a halt and some people kind of just like fall off per se because they're not tapping into like how they were 10, 20 years ago when they were
because it got real.
Because it got real.
It got real, and I think I imagine when we're imagining all of this and it's not real, once it gets real and that real thing, like you start thinking on a real level instead of having the space to think at that kind of childlike capacity. And so for the people that can maintain that, that's why you see somebody like a Pharrell or a Jay-Z. These people still tap into what I feel like is this childlike curiosity, they're creating with the youth, you know what I'm saying? They're not closing themselves off. You gotta stay open-minded. You have to stay open-minded. You gotta want to experience new experiences and new things, and you just I feel like the whole life game is a mind game. When I look at the result of people's experiences, I'm just like, it's all just a mind game. It's a mind game. So it's like, what are you thinking? What are you really spending your time truly believing about whatever you're supposed to be experiencing, because that's what's like people will say, oh, well, this is happening or that's happening. It's like those things are only supposed to further contribute to the way that you think. And so you're allowing them to push you into a space of negative thinking or a place of positive thinking. But to an extent, you're telling me about those things because you couldn't control them. So it's like, if you understand that relationship with it, you shouldn't allow it to control you because you can't control it. So it's like, that's why I say it's literally just about who you say you, because my boy, he was talking to me when I went back home, and I love that all my guys are thinking at a different level now because of what I'm experiencing. He said, when we were 16, you used to say who you were going to be and what you were going to do, and that was who you were, and you weren't, like, you were just making your music and shit, and nobody gave a fuck, but you were doing that. Now, 10 years later, you're still saying who you're going to be and doing, which, and everybody else is lost in translation. They're lost in translation. My boy, he told me, and this is the most powerful shit I've heard from my guy in a long time. He said, I'm the lowest standard. He was like, you dropped out of college. You never owned a car. You quit your job. You don't even have any money. I'm still broke. And he was like, but everybody I know wants to be more like you. Everybody wants to be more like you, and that blew my mind because it's like all my guys, we're all playing this hierarchy game where it's like, oh, who's got the best job? And when I dropped out of college and everybody graduated, we were all kind of just, well, I don't know about me, kind of to an extent, but we were all kind of just going through the motions, seeing where life was going to go next. And then once this started happening for me, it lit a fire under all of my guys. And now we're starting to recognize that maybe we have more control than we think. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what's been really special about this journey. I've already sold 1 million records. My guys are thinking differently, man. They're getting their podcasts going and stuff. I came home and did some interviews with them just to help try to build their platforms. Yeah. And I'm like, that's what it's about. I feel like I'm not even a real person anymore. I feel like my purpose is to serve as like this imaginary fucking like being or character to people, where it's like, I may never contribute anything tangible to your experience in terms of money or get you a car or take you on a vacation. But you saw how my life played out, and you saw essentially what I represented, this idea of being yourself and going against the grain. All these things where I think it's like we all kind of think it, but we're like, nah, hell no. And it's like, no, I'm here in the flesh. I was there. So when I disappear, you're like, hold on, but that was a real person. That really happened. And I think that's the purpose I'm supposed to serve for all of these people. It's like all the fish are swimming this way. None of them are smiling. Mm-hmm. I'm swimming this way. I'm swimming into the darkness. A big ass shark is probably gonna jump out and try to eat me. But I'm smiling. So I'm just really glad that my journey is doing that for the people around me. Yeah. My dad is inspired by my journey, and he has a different respect for me now. He wanted me to go to the military. Is get a job, go to the military, and he knows me. I've always been an artist. So I never would have really been being myself doing any of those things. And so the relationship we have now that I took a chance, it's making him want to take some chances. And so it's doing a lot for me mentally, understanding this way that I'm thinking and how powerful it really is.
Mm-hmm. Because I feel like, even though I'm a college man and, I graduated from college and whatnot, to some degree, like colleges, military, being at home, those are all just like institutions that in some degree are set up to keep you constricted and keep you in a way of thinking so linearly.
Yeah. I feel like that what's interesting about the educational system is they kind of deprive younger people of, I think, what are the most important years of their lives. Because these are the moments where our minds are, the younger you are, the stronger your imagination is. And as you get older, it begins to wear kind of thin. And it's because we kind of get caught up in this rat race, right? Who's got the most degrees? Who's got the most zeros on their paycheck? Mm-hmm. Who's got the most? And we're trying to acquire as opposed to create. And so you just the power of this whole thing is creation, procreation. Like life is about art. Like God is the greatest artist. Look at this thing. Look at all these beautiful people. This is all art. And so it's like they put you in this class and they make you think that this is the way to do it. This is the way. And so what they're doing is these moments where you're young and you're most fiery, that's by the time you get all these degrees or you finally get the promotion, it's not really what you want. It's what you think you wanted, and exactly what you were supposed to have, you never get because you played the game backwards. You played it back. And I love the way that it's set up because if you just think differently, you can transcend it. Like, I don't even know what the days of the week are anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, and unless I have something set up, like where it's like we got to be here at this time, like we just wake up and we create, and then we stay up as late as we want to, or we wake up as early as we want to. Like, we live in a different reality because now we are the gods of our reality. And I think that's the power of being an artist. Like, true artists, I think, have to think philosophically to really translate something into their work. And that's where we are, where it's like I mean, he's been doing this. And so for me to now work into his space and for us to be able to create the way that we do, I know that this, oh man, this is just the beginning too. And I'm just so excited, man. I'm just so excited.
Honestly, I haven't felt like this much confidence in somebody in terms of like the direction that they're going in. Not to say that I didn't feel confident about anybody else who was on this platform, but like I think the energy that I'm getting from you and just the way your mind is wired, like I can't disagree with you one bit. The fact that you are seeing past all these social constructs that are set up so linearly and just make us think one way and one way only, and the fact that it seems like you found happiness and peace with what you're doing in like the basic human essence and just like creation and wanting to like, I guess, put your art out there, because we're all artists at the end of the day, whether you work at freaking McDonald's, whether you work at a women's shoe store, like that's all art just put on display for somebody to appreciate or to purchase, you know? And the moment we are halted from creation is the moment we kind of like, we take the biggest L of our lives, man.
It's the only L. The only L. Once you're robbed of your imagination, it's just, you're kind of just here, but you don't exist anymore. You're just here because you're not really contributing anything, and you think that you're making contributions, but you're really just holding the people around you back. I feel like the greatest thing you can ever do for anybody that you love is separate yourself from them. You have to be selfish. Because if you continue to stand by them and you're like, oh, well, I'm contributing to help and take care of you, you're really inhibiting them from being the best version of themselves. But when you decide, all right, I'm going to go and do me, you leave them to have to figure it out. And as they watch you doing you, now you're inspiring them, because they're like, all right, maybe I really just need to do me. And then if you're doing it right and you're doing it with purpose, you're happy. And then that's really what everybody wants, is this pursuit of happiness that you can have immediately once you start thinking differently. So it's like, you got to be selfish, man. You got to... The way this shit is set up, the society's never been on our side. They're going to tell you, oh, the greatest thing you can do is give back. No, it's like, no, I got to give to me. They say I can't love somebody else unless I love me first. And people don't really understand the power of that, but it's true. I have to love myself selfishly. Or how will I ever know how to really love you if I can't even love myself?
Yeah.
Myself.
How are you supposed to figure somebody else out if you can't figure yourself out?
I've never figured out what I have going on right here. I don't know the little intricacies about me, but I'm trying to figure those things out about you. It's never going to work. So now I want to fall in love and get married one time. I was at my sister's wedding and I cried. And I was watching my sister's husband dance with his mom, and they were essentially giving each other away. Well, they were giving each other away and I was just like, this is powerful, just how powerful love is, and how it can bring two families that a couple years ago didn't even know existed, and now this is an even larger family. I'm just like self-love is the key. It's the key. Like, that's the message I'm going to perpetuate until I'm dead. Like, people ask me, oh, what are your goals 5 years from now, and blah, blah. Like, my goals were the same 5 years ago. Be the best version of myself and translate that to other people. Everything else will happen, because it's all feeding that desire for my life, for my purpose, to be this specific type of person. So it's like, all right, God's like, all right, now you're prepared for this greater platform. You're prepared for this greater stage. You're prepared for an increase in all of these different things, because now you can show people how to have them and still be one with who you are. It's not, none of this shit is here for us to not have. This is, God will never give you more than you can handle. So it's like, how are you preparing yourself for these things? You really get all of it once you don't want it anymore. Like, I used to care. I'm telling you. I used to want the designer clothes and the girls and all that, and I didn't know how to get it. And I was thinking I had to be some type of way to get it. And once I detached myself from it, I can't. It won't.
Now he got the girls. Now he got the designer clothes.
Just flies. I'm telling you. And what God is doing is He's saying, all right, let's see if like, because it's like I've like there used to be a voice in my head that told me I wasn't good enough. I would create and it would keep me from putting work out because I was afraid to be vulnerable. And now that I've completely quieted that voice and my voice is always encouraging me and telling me that I got this. Now I'm faced with level 2. Level 2 is now once you beat yourself, because yourself is the first battle. Once you win that battle, then it's like, all right, now you're prepared to face the world. Now the world's going to judge you. Now how do you quiet that? And once you quiet that noise, then now it's the universe. And that's what you want. That's what I want. So I'm just like, I want a feeling more than I want a thing so bad that I get all of these things I feel like the universe is like, are you sure you really want the feeling or do you want the thing? Because now here's the thing. And then I have to figure out my relationship with the thing. And I'm like, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
It never lasts as long as what a feeling.
Well, that's why when we like buy, when I was a kid, I used to buy Jordans left and right. Dog.
Oh man, what?
You know what I mean?
You know how it goes.
You know, and it's
you're
like,
waiting in line
for like fucking 8 hours.
You're saving all your allowance up.
Crazy. And I look back at those moments and I'm like, man, the same feeling that I got back then, it doesn't even exist anymore. So what was the purpose of even like getting that? It was for temporary gratification. Mm-hmm. So once I recognized that after moving out here for maybe about 5 years now and knowing that like, oh, well, shit, I got to pay rent. Oh, well, I got to pay food. I actually get a way better feeling enjoying food that I've purchased than ever buying, a pair of shoes that I bought 5 years ago. Like, man, I've been buying food every fucking day. I love it. I love it because it's a necessity and it's something that just brings happiness to me. So now I go about my daily life just thinking about like, okay, well, is something that I need to do I need to purchase this? Will it give me like temporary gratification or will it give me something like long term? Can I look back at this and be like, wow, like this really makes me happy still?
Mm-hmm. That's why I tend to spend my money on experiences as opposed to things. Like I had a friend who would always buy these expensive designer shirts. Got me a shirt for $300. I'm like, do you know what we could have experienced for $300?
Yeah. Shout out Coachella.
The shirt is just wrinkled. The shirt is just wrinkly now. Man,
it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But I hope everybody can learn from this, man. This conversation's stimulating as fuck, dog.
It's my favorite types of conversations. These conversations manifest things.
Hell yeah.
It's hard for me to have any other types of conversations for the most part. Because I think in my thinking space is like I just think differently now. Like it's, so yeah, I'm really glad that you had me here. I used to think I didn't want to do interviews, but I didn't recognize that I actually had a story to tell.
To be honest, man, as a young artist too, it's the stories that will keep people involved in your life, because it's beyond music. And the same way you were talking about, you work through a higher power. Like if you want to get into a marketing tactic, like honestly, there's an audience for that. There's literally an audience for everything. But like the fact that you're able to open up, like I feel like we dug deep with this. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're able to like open up yourself in such like a vulnerable space. Like people really enjoy that because it makes you MAEZ301, the untouchable human being, into MAEZ. Yeah. Just the regular guy that you could just see on the street.
I'm just a guy, and I'm learning that as I navigate this industry. Tech9 and all these dope people I get to hang out with, they're just guys.
Yeah.
They're just guys. I remember the first time I saw Kobe Bryant, I think I shit myself. I swear to God, he's just a guy. He's just a guy.
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to take away from me wherever I go, because I imagine for myself the highest echelon of success. I want people to get around MAEZ and be like, he's just a guy. Mm-hmm. He's just a guy. I don't want to feel anything different than that, because then I'm uncomfortable. And so I can appreciate it. It gets annoying, but because for all that I feel like I'm doing, I go home and my mom's like, record deal, there's some dishes in the sink. So it's like...
You still got to take out the trash.
Exactly,
what you mean?
Exactly. So it's like... when I was young, I wanted to get away from that. Now it's like I love... Now I sit and I'm like, my mom's lecturing me and I used to go... Now I look at her like this. I'm like, oh yeah, because I miss what was, because it's like I'm growing into a space now where my mom's like, you don't even really need me anymore. It's really I'm coming to you for advice. So it's like when I can get those moments, it's just nostalgic.
Yeah.
You know, so I appreciate those things about just being like don't treat me like I'm not a regular person. Like, and there are already people that are starting to
kind of
be
like,
a little
yeah.
different. And that comes with the territory, but I feel like the best thing that I can do is just to continue to be the best version of myself, and what I'm supposed to experience, I will.
Amen to that, man. It would not be of my journalistic integrity if I didn't ask you this, but so how did you end up linking with Tech Nine and Strange Music? How did that happen?
Definitely.
I get asked this question 300 fucking times, man.
No, I'm saying it's all energy. Honestly, I feel like energy attracted me. I mean, I'm in Maryland. He's in California. Yeah. We're as far as you can possibly be, and he's been looking for the opportunity to break an artist. And for me, I've been looking for an opportunity to break my career. And for us to come together and create what we've created, and to now have worked into my experience, my manager Inglewood Muggs, and all of his relationships. Like, I'd say God, and then people say, well, you have EP Music, you have Muggs, you have Tech Nine. I'm like, I didn't have none of them a year ago. Not one of them. It's an energy thing, especially because these are real people. These are people that really look out for me, that really are invested in not only me as an artist, but me as a human being. And that resonates with the type of person I want to be when I create an opportunity for a young man or a young woman. So it's like, this is all an attraction of energy. It's energy. It's like people call me and they say, what's the secret? How'd you this and how you... I'm like, I can't tell you to go and network. I can't tell you to do some shit like that, because to an extent, I didn't do that. I really didn't do that. So what did you do? I mean, I put my music out on social media, on SoundCloud and stuff. And I would never put music out because I was very self-conscious about my work. Oh, it has to be perfect. And it was never perfect to me. And my boy was putting music out, and his music would have like scratchy mixes and stuff. And I'd be like, I'd never put that out. But he was getting numbers. He was doing numbers. He was building a buzz. So I'm like, man, I just need to put it out. At this point, I just want people to hear my work. So I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to put this music out, and somebody in the industry is going to be like, this little nigga did this in his basement by himself. And they're gonna recognize my potential, and from there, something great will happen. He said, "What if that doesn't happen? What are you gonna do?" I said, I don't sit around in my free time and think about shit not happening. Like, what? It's pretty sad existence.
That's crazy.
So I'm just like, I don't know. I'll cross that road when I get there. I was just like, and as I put the work out, that's what happened. I get a call from EP Music. My uncle, I sent it to my uncle. I know my uncle just has bougie friends. He tries to hang around the higher ups, but I don't know who he knows. I'm in my mom's basement, dirty drawers on, just making rap music, just a regular guy. I don't imagine that EP Music is gonna call me. And so when he called me, I'm just probably watching the Boondocks or something, just eating a bowl of cereal. I'm like, who? What? So he was like, yeah, come to Cali, follow my lead. I never even met him. I'm like, this is all written. This was all supposed to happen. My uncle that shared the music with him, I've never met that uncle to this day. He's my mom's half-brother.
Oh, wow.
I've never even met him. Still haven't met him to this day. He came into my life for 5 seconds and has disappeared. And the only reason he listened to my music is because my uncle helped create an opportunity for him at the beginning of his career. So he felt, at least to that extent, let me just check out what his nephew is. And I'm like, and that happened before I was born. I was born in 93. So I'm like, God planned this out. He planned this out. He wrote this. And I just need to go along with it and prepare myself for each next setting. That's it. That's how it happened. I'm like, God brought me Tech Nine. He brought me Muggs. He brought me EP Music. I didn't know any of them a year ago. I had not one music contact. And the crazy thing is, my boy who was putting the music out and getting the views, he was moving around. He knew DJs. He was doing shows. And I always tell him, because me and him still work closely, I'm like, it's not about who works harder. It's about who works smarter. You were working harder than me. I was just sitting in my room, not putting music out and saying that I was going to do this. But I had a faith in a different relationship with my life experience. You felt like, I guess, maybe a person was supposed to create your blessing. I always felt like when God felt the time was right, he would. So I'd always tell him it's in God's timing. It's in God's timing. And a little over a year later, he's still in Maryland, and I'm here. And now he's following my lead. And I'm telling him, I'm like, it's the power of that relationship you have with the things you can't see. And so it's like I count my eggs before they hatch now. Like, I don't care how crazy I sound to people, and there may be some difficulties about my situation, but God always gives me exactly what I need. Amen. I might not have what I want, but I have everything that I need to keep going forward. And my job is to just show people that you have enough to do it. You have enough to, like, I only have to this day maybe 7,000 followers on Instagram. I'm not fucking 100. And I love how that creates this enigma about me. Where it's like people meet me and they kind of they kind of misunderstand what is happening, which I love. I love the way God is working my experience. It allows me to move in a silence where it's like once it pops, like it's going to pop. Mark my words. So I'm like, man, like, it's just special. It's very special. It only allows who needs to be in my experience to be there. Because if you're counting the numbers, we don't resonate at the same level anyway. We don't. And what's special about my situation is Strange took a chance. They don't. I had less than 2,000 Instagram followers when they took a meeting with me. Like, come on, I did Sway with under 5,000 Instagram followers, and I'm just like, I'm my purpose is to show people that numbers, like, you can transcend all of this if you have a different relationship with what you can't see.
The numbers are the same thing. The numbers are the same thing, the social construct we were talking about earlier, as the college institution, as like the military, you know, like, and all those examples. It's the exact same thing.
It's the exact same thing. And people, you know, they're so busy like letting those things like drive the car. I'm just not driving it anymore. I'm just letting the man drive it and I'm looking out the window.
One phrase that particularly reminds me of that: let go, let God.
Let go, let God. My manager says it all the time. We hashtag it in our Instagram posts. Be still. Be still. Once I'm still, like when I'm moving, I don't realize that something is for me, is behind me, and I'm moving away from it, thinking that I'm getting close. And once I'm still, it's getting closer to me. And that's just this understanding that it's not my job to figure it out. Like, then I'm taking away, what is God for? What is God? It's not my, he doesn't want me to know.
Man.
He doesn't want me to know. So I'm fine with not knowing and just being like, well, this is what I want. I'm going to prepare myself for it. Like, I look at it like, there's a reason you can't travel all this space. There's a reason you can't understand all that is the mind. There's supposed to be darkness, mystery. I call it magic. And the magic is faith. You just give it to God. And it's like, look, there's a little bit of mystery to this. Once I start trying to think rationally, logically, realistically, trying to figure out what's next, life falls short of my expectation every time.
God.
Every time. But once I just leave it to faith and I dream, life feels like a dream, and it supersedes my expectation for whatever I expected to experience in the future. So it's like I just say the wildest shit, and I know it's gonna be even crazier. I'm not supposed to know. I'm just supposed to be like, look, this is what I'm wanting, and this is, I'm just preparing for it. Because it's who I am. Life gives you who you are, not what you want. So who are you and why?
Man, I'm like just shook right now with the amount of gems you've been dropping throughout this entire podcast, man. I mean that in the best way possible, because me being like a firm believer that there is a God out there, like, this is one of those conversations that make me feel like individuals like yourself are definitely on the right path. It makes me feel like I'm on the right path. And, you know, not to say that you need to believe in God or, you know, believe in like whatever, but like at the end of the day, just really like believe in yourself. And what you
it's
have
a strong
going on.
Relationship with
you know
yourself.
What I mean? Like, think of all the outrageous shit possible and make it happen. Make all these things come into fruition, because the second we stop, as you said, the second we stop imagining things is the second we take the biggest L in the world.
The only L.
The only L.
The only
L. MAEZ, so when is your album coming out, man?
So the album is slated to release. That's funny, right? To go from there back to music.
Yo, I mean, like, oh my, it's kind of like when you're done digging, you still gotta you gotta get out the hole.
But the album is slated to release toward the end of the year in October. I have my AEP preparing to release in June, mid-June. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited to just begin to share my catalog with the world, share myself with the world. And it's just the beginning. If you're on board right now, brace yourself. We are only scratching the surface. A lot of what we've done has been with limited resources. So once we begin to, have all these different things at our disposal, I'm telling you.
Well, man, you got like the biggest independent record label behind your back.
I mean,
bro.
come on, like, if God's not working, who is? Like, come on. I can't call it, bro. I just go with the flow. Like I said earlier, I just go with the flow.
I appreciate this conversation so much, man. MAEZ, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on all social media handles at MAEZ301, MAEZ301. If you're spelling it like a maze, you're spelling it wrong. MAEZ301. That's Instagram, Twitter, my Facebook page. Spotify, you can search me, MAEZ301. I'm on all music platforms. That's Apple Music, Amazon. I think I'm even on Napster. Everywhere you can find
He's
me.
on Dat Piff,
I'm on-
LimeWire.
I am on Dat Piff. I actually
Oh,
dropped
you
some
are?
music on there
Okay,
a long time ago. So that's for the super fans. I went by a different name, but if you can find it, you know it's me.
Okay. That's just the lead that he's not going to give us the name, so I'm not even going to ask.
Yeah, you gotta. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
This is the lunch table, food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz, MAEZ301, Strange Music, and we are out, everybody. Yay!